Hello our viewers and welcome to our top-notch education consultancy programs. We are back on air and this is our second term, and I believe this is a term for our revisions, and we are preparing our candidates for the national examination that is ahead of them. Remember that we have taken 2 more weeks away from school, and we want to compensate for the same so that our students get a value for the education system that we have. So this night I would like to give a presentation on John Lara's play, that is The Samaritan. Remember that we are approaching examination, and the best way now to deal with issues of revision is to have the question and answer approach. Now I want to pick on a question here and discuss it. I hope that you are also going to have your input after I shall have presented the same. Now, the question here is from John Lara's play, The Samaritan. A house divided cannot stand. And we're supposed to discuss this question giving clear illustrations from the text. And I believe that I had actually had a discussion with you on how to do our introduction. The introduction here will be very simple. That a people that is not united is bound to collapse. If you are a group of people and you're not united in whatever you're doing, you are most likely to collapse. So that could be a simple interpretation of that question, a house divided cannot stand. And this is experienced in John Lara's text, where we have the officials of Maracas municipality not speaking from the same voice. We realize that when the mayor convenes a meeting to counter the Samaritan app in his boardroom, there is already glaring a division amongst the officials. There is the group that stands with the mayor, and that is Harvester and Bembe. And there is also another group that stands with the leader of opposition, and that is Basdeo. And this group is actually made up of Simwa, Ted, and Jaden. So already we have seen that kind of division. So when the mayor convenes this meeting to counter the Samaritan app, Simwa has made a suggestion, and that is a suggestion that is meant to benefit them and not actually to counter the Samaritan app in one way or the other. Because remember that they have realized that this thing can easily take them to prison. So they are trying to counter or come up with a situation where when they are taken to the prisons, or when they are arrested, or they are sued for the wrongdoings, the abuse of office and corruption, then they have a way to defend themselves. They don't want to use their own pockets to defend themselves. So they want the mayor to approve a new budget, or what we call the budget estimates, so that they are rescued, just in case this thing is taken to the courts. But the mayor has refused to make this approval, because at one point they kind of tried to blackmail the mayor when the mayor approved such an estimate. So their argument here is that this money would be used to deal with the waste disposal situation that is causing havoc into the municipality. And they would want the money to be actually retrieved, so that they use this money for the cases that is more likely to come their way. But the mayor has refused that will not happen. In fact, the mayor calls them thieves that are living a very glamorous lifestyle at the expense of the Maracas people. So at the end of the meeting that the mayor convened, we realized that they haven't come up with anything substantive. In fact, the meeting has ended up in a disarray, because there is no disagreement. In fact, Simwa has attempted even to stand up and to kind of try to fight the mayor. So at the end of it all, the meeting has ended up in a disarray. There is no agreement, and therefore they cannot move forward to fight the Samaritan application together. That is the first instance of a house divided cannot stand. The second instance that we meet in the text is when the mayor now begins to talk ill of the officials when he meets Nicole. Actually, the mayor paints himself as a holy person who is not involved, who does not involve himself in matters corruption. But again, we realize that he's trying to paint the officials of the municipality in a very negative light. And he calls some of them that they actually get the procurement to their relatives. The tenders are given to their relatives and they benefit themselves. So there is that attempt by the mayor to paint all these officials from Seymour to Basdeo to Ted to Jaden, all of them are painted in the negative light. And remember, he is their leader, and therefore they should have spoken from the same script. But unfortunately, it is the mayor himself who is actually trying to bring the names of these people into disrepute when he's talking to Nicole. He wants a situation where his name is actually out of this corruption mess, but these other officials should actually face imprisonment for their wrongdoing. So that is also another case where we realize that there is no single unity amongst these people. Now, another case that shows that this house is divided is Jaden, the judge. Actually, Jaden tells these people that they cannot actually be sprawling their dirty linens, or what they call the skeletons, all over, and they expect him to stand for them. So there was that argument that if this thing gets to the courts and they are arrested, then it is Jaden who should rescue them. But Jaden says that he's not going to play ball. He's not going to have a situation where these people mess themselves up. They have their skeletons all over, and they expect him actually to clear their names. So he's not going to do that. So even at the level of the courts, we realize that Judge Jaden is not part of this team. But again, to fight this back, you remember that they have to blackmail him. Remember the rats scandal that has been painted on his name, and how there was some procurement, and this tender was given to his girlfriend Ivy. So they have actually been able to blackmail him so that he plays ball, and finally he's been brought into the mess by them. But again, what stands out is that at the very beginning he was not part of it, and they said that these guys cannot actually sprawl their messes, or what he calls their skeletons all over, and they expect him to clean up their names. So that is also a case of a house that is divided, because the court is not reading together with these officials. So I wanted just to make some clarifications of how the students can have some points to discuss when it comes to this question: house divided cannot stand. We have seen a case where, number one, when the mayor convenes the meeting, there are groupings. There is a group that is led by Basdeo. In fact, the mayor says that Basdeo is working together with some journalists. He pays them, and he gives them money to dig out some information about the corruption in the municipality. And therefore, he believes that Basdeo is the one responsible for the damaging uploading on the Samaritan app. Again, we realize that Simo, Ted, and Jaden are not reading from the same script as the other lot that is led by the mayor. So that is one thing that I wanted you to understand. The second bit that I wanted you to understand, that this house is divided, is the case of Jaden, who has refused to play ball, and he says that these guys cannot sprawl their skeletons all over, and they expect him to clean up the mess for them. And again, when you look at the entire text, there is a part when now this group that is against the mayor, they sit together and look at the composition of the municipal council or the aldermen. And there is that division. There is the class division, there is a tribal division, those who come from mayor's clan or mayor's tribe, and how they are being viewed. There's so many things that brings a division. And therefore, when the Samaritan app actually becomes a problem to them, they cannot stand as a unit to fight the Samaritan app. Thank you very much, and I hope that this has helped you in one way or the other to understand the Samaritan. House divided cannot stand.